I'm going to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm sure you've got tremendous other amount of things to do today.
Yeah, no, but this is fun. It's important.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to take you back to 2011 and ask you, was there a particular issue that drove you to run, to put your name on the ballot back in those days?
Well, at first when I was approached to be a name on a ballot candidate to run in 2011, of course, it's a pretty big question. It's a big responsibility to be a candidate, and so for me, I really thought about it. It was important for me to run, and I eventually accepted because I really shared the values of the NDP. Being a single mom, I thought we could do better. I wanted to leave behind a better Canada for my son. That's something I've always strived to do. I had my son when I was younger, and I wanted to make sure that I went back to school and that I did my best and I was able to support him and build a good family for him and make sure he got all of his needs met. And so for me, it was kind of why I said yes to run, and also allow people in that riding where we didn't think we had much of a chance at the beginning to vote NDP and support our party and Jack and what we were proposing.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. As a child of a single mom myself, I think I'd be more than happy to have more people like my mom elected. I think it would bring a whole other dimension to our politics, and I'm glad to see that you're in there fighting hard. I think the voice that you bring is crucial.
And it was so great in 2011. I got a lot of flack, I guess, at the beginning because the journalists weren't expecting this, right? Like they had it all plotted out in their heads, and so when we did do this breakthrough, they were like, this wasn't supposed to happen in Quebec. It was just an orange wave, but it really wasn't a wave. It was years and years of work, and then, with what happened during the election, Quebecers just were like, we're fed up. We really do want to change, and we're going to vote NDP, and that's what they got. And so the journalists, I think, what they went after, they went after me for being a name on a ballot candidate, but they also went after me because, hey, you know what, she is a single mom, and she's not your typical cookie cutter politician, so that's wrong, and go and basically tell my electors what you did was wrong. It's like, no, I don't think so. They made a choice. Maybe they didn't know me very well, but they were willing to take a chance, and they put their confidence in our party. So I think that's what made me want to work even harder to make those journalists kind of realize I'm going to eat my words. I made a mistake, and you know what? It doesn't matter where you come from, what your experience was, but if your opinion is important, and when you work hard and you can be a strong community activist and really represent the needs and wants of your constituents, that's what a member of parliament is supposed to do.
Absolutely. One of the things, I've seen a few interviews with some of your constituents, and it seems that they have a real sense of pride and even a little bit of vindication for your success. That they voted for you, and you've proved them to be their vote to be worth it. Have you sensed that yourself?
Well, I always wanted to work hard and do good by them. I think what really surprised me shortly after getting elected was, I wanted to be very present on the ground. And what people started to tell me was like, oh, we've never really seen our federal member before. Like we, would see him during election time, but, he wasn't, at all of our events. He wasn't, involved with certain issues that really, hit home and were important to us. So I think that kind of was a shock for me at first, because I would have thought that he would have been there. But I guess he wasn't. At election time, he was more present. But for me, it was really important to know the issues, know my constituents, know who was doing what and what mattered to them. So it was really important for me not just to go to the spaghetti dinners, but to really know my issues and be present on the ground, to be that voice in the House of Commons and defend them on certain issues that were important to them.
For sure. When you're getting heavily scrutinized post-election, was there ever a point where you're like, I don't know if I really can do this or I want to do this? Is it worth it? Was there ever a moment where you thought that?
I think, I've been very lucky. I'm a single mom, but I had always the support of my family. And I think I've always been very strong. And, when you're a young mom, you kind of have people get a perception of you, or, they underestimate you type of thing. But I think everybody knows that, single moms were fighters, and, we want to do just the best for our children. So, maybe I did come in with like a sticker, but I say also, I came in and the bar was really low. So any kind of hard work, eventually, hopefully I could roll over that low bar that was set for me. It just made me work harder.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Looking back, if you were to look at yourself in 2011 and give yourself a little bit of advice, is there anything that you'd want to tell yourself from then? Just kind of prepare yourself for what you're getting yourself into?
Well, I was really lucky, and I keep saying lucky, but in 2011 what our party did is, because we had so many newly elected members, we kind of teamed up with other NDP members that had been there, a mandate or two, and I was happy to be teamed up. I'm still really close with Jean Crowder, who is sadly retiring this year, but I think that really helped me, get through of, setting up my Ottawa office, setting up my riding offices, and just kind of wading through. Any member goes through this when they're first elected, right? It's just setting all up, getting your footing. I think, I dealt a lot with national media at first. That was kind of interesting to get into, but I think it was, I tend to get thrown into things, and it's kind of like a sink or swim situation. So I was able to kind of learn through that. But I think what I learned in 2011, I was kind of nervous, because I didn't go to university for political science. I think maybe at some moments were like, oh, okay, can I really do this? Because I'm a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. But, I kind of just reassured myself, my voice is important because this is the House of Commons. It represents Canadians. It's supposed to be representative. It's supposed to have a great mix of representatives here, doctors, lawyers, but also youth and more women. And I think what was really great in 2011, we elected youth. We elected 40% women. It's more representative of Canadians. So I think maybe at first, maybe I had some moments of doubt. Can I do this? I think I compared myself too much to others, but it is possible, and you just got to have confidence in yourself. And like Jack always said, don't let them tell you it can't be done, because it can be done. When you really do want to change things, you can incrementally. Hard to do with a majority government, but you can change things for the positive.
Absolutely. Tom really seemed to take you under his wing. Tom Mulcair really took you under his wing, I think, at the beginning, and probably to several of the newer MPs. How has that relationship evolved as you kind of gained your footing as an MP and kind of became the rising star that you've become?
So, yeah, Tom was very supportive, and so were his team and his offices. At the beginning, he did come out with me publicly the first time in my riding. I think it was May 11th, and we toured around the riding, and we had media like following us, caravans through, like the municipalities, and I don't think they've ever had that much national attention. But he was very, very helpful personally, and so was his team at helping me set up my team and office in the riding, kind of wading through what all parliamentarians do when they first get elected. Very helpful, and also Jack. And like I said, we had mentors, and everybody was very welcoming. It was like being brought into a family with all my colleagues, and they were just so encouraging and helpful at the beginning. And Tom was there right from the beginning, and he still is. He's been always very encouraging and helpful throughout this 41st Parliament.
No doubt. You've mentioned your constituency of Betsy and Masculinity. What have you done to connect so well with the people of? I know you've worked incredibly hard. Is there a special thing that, like anything that where you kind of felt like you clicked, an event that you did that made you feel like you clicked with your constituents?
I can't pin down an event, but I think the fact that I really like people and I like meeting people, And I think my experience working in restaurants and bars has really helped me. I say being a member of Parliament is like, I can't compare it, thing to thing with being a server, but it's, you're a service, right? You're representing your Canadians. It's something we do every day in my constituency office. We help people with problems they have with different minister's office or federal programs or, unemployment insurance. So I think the fact that, maybe my situation and my upbringing is kind of similar to the people in my riding, I know what it's like sometimes being short at the end of the month and having to work 2 and 3 jobs. And I think they kind of saw themselves maybe in me, and that's kind of what helped forge a good relationship with them. And the fact that I'm honest, I'm not afraid to say, hey, you know what, I don't know, and I'm not going to skate around. And it's okay to not know something. I think it's impossible to know everything, but to admit you don't know, but then to actually go and find out and not just try to pretend you know everything. I think they kind of appreciate that too, the honesty, that, I'm not afraid to say that, but, do follow up later on when I know the answer to that, or, I'm able to connect with somebody who's an expert. And, I think that's really important too, is to be honest with your constituents and not make crazy promises, because, there's nothing worse than saying you can do something and not end up doing it. So.
Awesome. Yeah, you're going to be facing promises coming down the pipes as you're going into another federal election.
Yes.
It's going to be a different experience probably for you. But how are things going with your preparations for the election?
So it's always been balancing parliamentary responsibilities, but then also, doing the partisan stuff like selling membership cards, organizing. It's going to be completely different from 2011. I was actually nominated candidate for the riding of Berthier-Mascouche on December the 5th, chosen by members without an opposition. So that's different too. I was actually nominated in 2015. So I'm building a team, and we are getting ready for the election. So it's, we're getting ready for the election that will happen, hopefully, I think by October 19th, but we'll be ready. I'm going to go door knocking. I'm going to participate in the debates. I think it's going to be very interesting, and I'm just waiting to see who's going to be running for the other parties. I think we had a Liberal that was a claimed candidate. It's not somebody I know, but I'm looking forward to getting to know him and seeing him out a little bit more on the ground, and then I'll see who's going to run for the Conservative Party in the bloc, and I think it'll be great, but completely different from 2011. So I'm going to be really getting great experience, but I've had a lot of mentoring, and I have people of experience that are helping me organize and build for what's upcoming in October.
That's fantastic. Well, that's after my questions, and I just really wanted to say thank you for obviously the interview, but more importantly for all of us standing up in Parliament and putting your name forward. That is something that is commendable by any measure, and you've gone through a bit of the ringer, which is so unfortunate in terms of we should be recognizing those who do stand up for democracy and recognizing the hard work that they do.
Well, thank you. I think, the journalists, they had a job to do, and they were told, go do this, and I understand, why it was a story. But I think it'd be completely different if it was a male, and I was, in my 50s. I think, they just kind of judged me, and there was maybe some kind of other things pushing them to why they went on it for so long. But,
absolutely,
it was negative at first, but we turned it into a positive.
You sure did.
And it just shows that, for everybody, doesn't matter. You want to get involved, just do it. And your voice does make a difference, and your actions do speak volumes. So
that's fantastic. And I know there's been other people who have been elected who weren't able to canvass. It happens, and you were the one that seemed to face the biggest burden. And it's unfortunate we only have 25% of our MPs are women, and it's not exactly helping that more. So we need to take down some of those obstacles and those barriers that get in the way.
But it's great to be part of a a party, a family that, believes that we need to have better representation in the House of Commons. And, when we do have riding associations look for candidates, they do have to work with different groups and search out more women and visible minorities and to get involved so that there is a better representation. So that makes me very proud and optimistic that we will have more equality in the House of Commons, maybe a parity one day. And, with an NDP government, it'll happen. So.
I hope so. Absolutely. We need more representation, more diversity, and it can't only improve the quality of our democracy. So.
Yes. So will you run again?
I will run again. I don't know when, but
okay.
I can't help it. It's in my blood. It's in my blood.
It'd be nice to meet you in person one day, Mark.
Absolutely. Next time you're in Calgary, you just we will have to meet up. And
yes.
Your situation, your story is, I think, one of the great stories of our last couple decades in politics. And I hope it's an inspiration. I hope it's an inspiration for lots of other people.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, next time in Calgary, I'll let you know.
Sounds great. Thanks, Ruth Ellen.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.